Me and my family were half naked by the pool when my little sister Emma started chanting, "Daddy the fatty." She then giggled and hugged him, adding, "Your belly is like Santa's." I immediately turned my head to see if my dad looked offended, but he just laughed along with everyone else. And the next morning, my dad, the biggest foodie I know, declined Emma's offer to eat pancakes together and insisted he wasn't hungry. Emma ate alone, pushing her food around, asking, "Did I make Daddy sad?" By the second week, he'd bought a weighing scale and food scale, weighing chicken breasts while Emma colored at the kitchen table. At first I felt bad, thinking Emma's innocent comment about his Santa belly had gotten to him, but after watching him lose weight steadily, I figured it was for the best anyway. He was getting healthy. Mom and I kept telling him how good he was looking. A month in, Dad had dropped 20 pounds. His coworkers kept complimenting his transformation. Mom seemed happier, more affectionate. He downloaded fitness apps, joined online forums, started intermittent fasting. He even seemed proud when Emma poked his stomach again and said, "Daddy's tummy is getting smaller." But then I noticed Emma had started poking her own belly too, frowning at it. When I mentioned it to Mom, she promised, "I'll talk to her tomorrow." But tomorrow came and went. By month 3, I started noticing concerning changes. I had just come home from college for Thanksgiving and found Dad doing jumping jacks in the garage at 5 a.m. His face looked hollow under the fluorescent light. I was just about to say something, but then I thought of all the times my dad laughed off my advice. To him, I would always be his little girl. But over the next few days, I was doubting my decision to stay silent. I'd catch him doing wall sits during Emma's bedtime stories, doing push-ups while she played with dolls. Emma had started copying him, doing tiny squats beside him. "I'll get her into therapy after the holidays," Mom whispered. When I asked her about it on Christmas Eve, she said, "The good therapists don't take our insurance." Dad installed a calorie counting app on his phone that beeped every hour, started photographing everything before eating it. Mom found him on the bathroom floor one night, crying over gaining half a pound. "It's just water weight," she tried to soothe him. He pushed her away. Christmas Day was when things spiraled beyond control. Dad weighed himself 6 times on Christmas morning. Emma watched each time, then stepped on after him, staring down at numbers she couldn't read. He wouldn't eat a single cookie Emma decorated for him. "Daddy's being healthy," he told her, but his hands shook as he sipped his black coffee. He gave away his portion of Christmas dinner to our dog. When Emma asked why Daddy looked sad, he forced a smile and said he was just tired. I tried talking to him when I found him exercising in the basement at 2 a.m., drenched in sweat. "Dad, you need to stop. This isn't healthy anymore." He turned on me with wild eyes. "You don't understand. I'm showing you and Emma what discipline looks like." His hip bones jutted out sharply above his sweatpants. "You girls won't have a father you're ashamed of anymore." By February, Dad was unrecognizable. His cheeks had hollowed into dark caves. His wedding ring slipped off his finger. Emma had stopped asking him to play because he was always too tired or exercising. Emma's teacher called about her refusing lunch at school. "I've made an appointment for therapy," Mom lied. When I pressed her, she broke down. "I can't handle both of them. If I focus on Emma, who watches Dad." He fainted during her soccer practice, claiming dehydration, the other parents whispered. Mom begged him to see a doctor. He accused us all of sabotaging his progress. I thought I knew what to expect from an eating disorder, but what I saw over those final weeks was so much worse. He started having episodes where he'd forget where he was, staring at Emma like he didn't recognize her. His hands shook so badly he couldn't hold a pencil. Our house smelled like the sour sweat that poured off him constantly. The breaking point came on a random Thursday morning. Emma was eating breakfast when we heard a crash from upstairs. Mom and I raced up to find Dad collapsed on the bathroom floor, his skeletal frame convulsing violently. The scale displayed 130 pounds. He was 6 feet tall. "Call 911!" Mom screamed, cradling his head. Emma appeared in the doorway, clutching her stuffed elephant. "What's wrong with Daddy?" I grabbed her, rushing her downstairs, but she'd already seen too much. Dad's eyes rolled back, his breathing shallow and rattled. Foam gathered at the corners of his mouth. His eyes kept rolling back, but he was somehow still conscious. "I'm okay," he slurred through the foam, trying to smile even as his body was clearly shutting down. "Why is everyone crying?" He tried to sit up, not understanding he was dying. "Look, no more Santa belly. Emma will be proud." That sentence broke me. The paramedics worked frantically. His heart rate was dangerously low. Blood pressure was almost non-existent. "Severe malnutrition," one muttered. "Organ failure." They loaded him onto the stretcher as Emma watched from the window, tears streaming. "Is Daddy sick because he stopped eating?" she asked. The weight of her question crushed me. As the ambulance disappeared, Emma tugged at my shirt. "I have a secret," she whispered. "I've been putting something in Daddy's water to help him get skinny. The lady at the gym gave it to me." My heart dropped. I grabbed Emma's shoulders, my hands trembling as I demanded to know what the gym lady gave her. Emma's eyes widened at my intensity, but she smiled proudly and reached into her Disney princess backpack. Mom was frantically calling 911 again behind us, her voice breaking as she begged them to test Dad's blood for poisons. Emma pulled out a small bottle of clear liquid labeled vitamin water drops. The label was partially scratched off, making most of the text unreadable. My stomach churned as I stared at it. Mrs. Chen from next door was watching through her window, her face pressed against the glass. I fumbled with my phone, taking screenshots of the bottle from every angle with shaking hands. The paramedics had left only minutes ago, but I needed to document everything. When I called Mom to update her, she screamed at me to just get Emma somewhere safe and figure it out later. Her panic made my own worse. The Uber arrived within minutes. I clutched Emma and the bottle as we climbed in, my sister chattering about how she'd been such a good helper. The driver glanced at us nervously in the rearview mirror, asking if everything was okay. I forced a smile and lied that we were just going to visit our sick grandpa. Emma nodded enthusiastically, adding details about Grandpa's hospital room that didn't exist. At the hospital, I rushed to the triage desk. The nurse took one look at the bottle I thrust at her and her face went white. She immediately called for the ER team, her voice urgent over the intercom. Mom was already in the waiting room, sobbing uncontrollably. When she saw us, she lurched forward and shoved me hard, screaming that this was somehow my fault for not watching Emma better. Nurses rushed to help as she collapsed, and security hovered nearby, watching our family fall apart in the middle of the ER. An ER social worker appeared and gently suggested taking Emma to the pediatric wing for some questions. Emma clutched her stuffed elephant tightly as they led her away. I stayed with Mom, who alternated between sobbing and staring blankly at the wall. Through the glass doors, I could see Emma in a bright playroom, happily describing to the nurse how the nice gym lady had told her that Daddy would be so proud when he got skinny like Superman. The nurse's face went pale at Emma's innocent words. Another hospital social worker arrived to assess our family situation while Mom was with Dad in the ICU. I sat alone in a sterile conference room, answering invasive questions about our home life, Dad's eating habits, and Emma's behavior. My phone started ringing, Mom calling, but it died mid-ring. The social worker documented my agitated state and what she called conflicting stories about the substance given to our father. I tried to explain, but exhaustion made my words jumble together. 2 hours passed before police finally arrived to collect the bottle as evidence. Emma had fallen asleep in my lap by then, exhausted from all the questioning. The officer carefully bagged not just the bottle, but Emma's entire princess backpack, explaining it was all potential evidence. Emma stirred slightly, mumbling about her favorite toys inside. Mom returned from the ICU hysterical. Dad's kidneys were failing. The doctors were doing everything they could, but his body had been pushed too far. She broke down completely when she saw the police forms on the table, whispering over and over that this was really happening. Someone had tried to cull him. The weight of it crashed over all of us. After a sleepless night at home, with Emma waking every hour asking for Daddy, I found myself driving at dawn. We passed our church where the morning prayer group was gathering. I slowed down, desperately wanting to stop for comfort, for someone to tell me this nightmare would end, but I continued on to Dad's gym instead, needing answers. The gym's Facebook page on my phone showed dozens of concerned comments asking about the sudden closure and where Rachel was. I refreshed the page and watched comments disappear in real time. Someone was actively deleting them. My hands tightened on the steering wheel as I realized the gym knew something was wrong. Back home, Mom refused to leave the hospital. She'd been there for 36 hours straight. I was left to handle Emma, who kept asking when we could visit the vitamin lady again. She missed her friend Rachel and wanted to show her the new drawings she'd made of Daddy getting healthy. I'm trying to understand how Emma got those drops. Did this Rachel person really give them to a little kid? The way Emma talks about helping Daddy get skinny makes me wonder what exactly this gym lady told her. The doorbell rang the next afternoon. Child Protective Services had arrived for a wellness check, they explained, based on a concerned community member's call about an unsupervised minor. I forced myself to smile and invite them in, my heart pounding. During the CPS interview, I sat rigidly on our couch while Emma played with her toys on the floor. The social worker took notes as Emma cheerfully mentioned she'd been helping lots of people get healthy, not just Daddy. My blood ran cold, but I kept my expression neutral, knowing any reaction would be documented. The CPS worker observed my exhaustion and unkempt appearance, asking pointed questions about substance abuse history in our family. Emma chirped up about Daddy's special drinks, and I had to quickly explain about his protein shakes and supplements, hoping she wouldn't mention the drops. The social worker's pen moved across her notepad continuously. 3 days into our nightmare, Aunt Catherine arrived at our door claiming Mom had asked her to take Emma. I knew immediately something was wrong. Mom had hated Catherine since their fight over Grandma's inheritance 2 years ago. Catherine thrust her phone at me, showing texts from Mom's number asking her to come get Emma. But checking the timestamps, I realized they were sent while Mom was sedated for a panic attack at the hospital. The hospital records would confirm she couldn't have sent them. I refused to let Catherine take Emma. Our screaming match on the front lawn drew neighbors out of their houses, several recording on their phones. Emma watched from the window, confused why I wouldn't let her go with Aunt Catherine to get ice cream. Catherine stormed off, shouting that she'd be back with her lawyer. That evening, my phone buzzed with an Instagram message from someone named Melissa. She said she was a former employee at Dad's gym and had quit last month. Her message was simple but chilling. That woman is dangerous. Can we meet? I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Meeting Melissa meant bringing Emma along to a Starbucks the next morning. My 5-year-old sister colored in her princess coloring book while Melissa and I huddled over coffee, whispering. Other customers gave us space, sensing the crisis radiating from our table. Emma drew a picture of Daddy with big muscles, showing it proudly to anyone who walked by. Melissa's hands shook as she revealed what she knew. The gym lady, Rachel, had a pattern of targeting vulnerable fathers, always through their children. She'd seen it happen before, but she paused, unable to finish her sentence about my dad. Your dad was supposed to just lose some weight, not, she trailed off, staring at Emma's drawing. I realized with growing dread that I needed to find Rachel before she disappeared completely. But that night, Emma had a complete meltdown at bedtime, sobbing about missing Daddy and the vitamin lady. She screamed for 2 hours straight, and any chance of investigating vanished as I focused on calming her down. By the time she finally fell asleep, I was too exhausted to do anything but collapse beside her. The next morning brought a shock that changed everything. Rachel stood at our front door, holding a bouquet of flowers and a teddy bear for Emma. She wore a sympathetic smile as she waved Dad's gym membership form at me. I noticed her hands trembling slightly as she explained that Dad had listed her as his emergency contact, giving her access to all his information. Emma's excited squeal pierced the air as she ran past me to hug Miss Rachel. I blocked the doorway with my body, watching Rachel's practiced movements. She smoothly expressed how devastating it was to hear about my father's illness. Her voice carried the perfect tone of concern, but something in her eyes remained calculating. Emma bounced excitedly beside her, clutching the new teddy bear. Rachel mentioned she was Emma's emergency contact at the gym daycare too. She produced another form Dad had signed months ago, offering to help with childcare during this difficult time. The legal weight of those signatures hit me like a physical blow. She had legitimate claim to involvement in our lives. I pulled out my phone and started recording as Rachel offered natural health supplements for our family's stress. Emma excitedly dragged out her drawings of skinny daddy to show Miss Rachel. Rachel's smile never wavered, but it didn't reach her eyes as she praised Emma's artwork. The contrast between her warm words and cold gaze made my skin crawl. Later that day, Rachel's husband called my phone. His voice was threatening as he warned me to stop stalking his wife's entire workplace. He detailed every attempt I'd made to contact gym employees, making it clear they'd been documenting my behavior. The call ended with promises of harassment charges if I didn't back off immediately. Mom finally returned home that evening. She saw Rachel's flowers on the kitchen counter and broke down sobbing. Through her tears, she accused me of not caring, saying even strangers showed more compassion than I did. Her words stung, but I couldn't explain about Rachel without sounding paranoid. Mom was too broken to hear it anyway. The hospital bills started arriving, already at $47,000, with insurance claiming Dad's condition was self-harm and refusing coverage. I found Mom hunched over her laptop at 3 a.m., desperately Googling DNP poisoning lawyers. Rachel's business card sat in the trash, but I retrieved it later when Mom wasn't looking. My investigation led me to Rachel's wellness Instagram account. Hundreds of before and after photos filled her page, all local dads with their kids, all thanking her for transforming their families. The pattern was undeniable. Each man's progression from overweight to dangerously thin followed the same trajectory as Dad's. The school called the next morning. Emma had been telling classmates she made Daddy sick with special medicine. They demanded an immediate psychiatric evaluation. The principal's voice was stern as she explained this was now a mandated reporting situation. Another official investigation was opening. During Emma's psychiatric evaluation, she casually mentioned that Rachel had taught her to put drops in other people's drinks too. She listed names: Mommy's friend Janet, Mrs. Kim from book club. The psychiatrist's face changed instantly. She excused herself and stepped out to make a call. I could see her through the window, speaking urgently into her phone. Mom's reaction to the CPS supervision order was explosive. She screamed at me for turning everyone against us, not understanding I hadn't called them. Her accusations flew fast and sharp. I was jealous of Rachel's relationship with Emma. I was trying to destroy our family. I couldn't handle not being in control. Each word drove us further apart. Dad's brother arrived from out of state 2 days later. He'd already met Rachel at the hospital, and she'd won him over completely. He insisted she was the only one who really understood what Dad was going through. The way he defended her, like she was some kind of saint, made me realize Rachel had gotten to him first. I discovered Rachel had been visiting Dad during the restricted hour when family wasn't allowed. She'd used her medical professional gym credentials to sign in. The ICU nurse mentioned how devoted his trainer was, visiting every single day. The thought of her standing over his unconscious body made me physically ill. Emma's therapist pulled me aside after a session. She warned that Emma was showing clear signs of grooming, but couldn't prove anything without the bottle's test results. The police had said those would take weeks. Every day that passed was another day Rachel could work on Emma, on our family, on her twisted plan. Rachel's next move was devastating. She filed to be appointed Emma's guardian ad litem, claiming family instability and citing her established caregiver relationship. She submitted gym daycare records as evidence, showing months of daily interactions with Emma. The legal system was working in her favor. The lab results arrived earlier than expected. The drops contained DNP, an illegal weight loss substance that literally cooks people from inside. The same substance had culled 3 bodybuilders last year. But when I brought this to the police, they explained Emma's testimony was compromised by trauma. Without Rachel's confession or more physical evidence, they couldn't prove she gave the drops to Emma versus Dad obtaining them himself. My breakthrough came at the public library. A former gym employee had left the staff Google Drive logged in on one of the computers. I found Rachel's client files documenting her special protocol before the account access was revoked. My hands shook as I screenshot everything I could, but I knew stolen evidence might not be admissible. Uncle David offered to help, but only if I dropped all accusations against Rachel. He made it clear his dental practice couldn't survive being associated with this scandal. He had a daughter Emma's age, he reminded me, as if that justified his cowardice. Family support was crumbling around me. Mom discovered my late-night gym visits through our shared Ring doorbell account. The footage of me returning at 3 a.m., disheveled and exhausted from investigating, was the final straw. Rachel's lawyer had suggested my stalking behavior could hurt the custody case. Mom kicked me out that night, choosing Emma's stability over truth. Living in my car outside the hospital became my new reality. I watched helplessly as Rachel brought Emma for supervised visits with Dad. Through the window, I could see Emma kissing his skeletal hand, whispering to his unconscious form. Rachel stood behind her, one hand possessively on Emma's shoulder. I convinced my college friend to pose as a potential client. She wore a hidden camera to Rachel's home studio. The footage she captured was chilling, walls covered with transformation photos, red X's marked through several fathers' faces. Why would Rachel show up at their door with flowers and a teddy bear, right when everything's falling apart? The timing seems way too perfect, especially with those gym forms Dad supposedly signed months ago, giving her all this access to Emma and their family information. Dad's photo already bore that ominous mark. Rachel's treatment logs documented doses given to children to administer. Emma was listed with a note to increase if needed. An unexpected ally emerged when Dad's ex-girlfriend from college reached out. Her husband had died of sudden organ failure after joining Rachel's program. Their daughter had been found playing with Daddy's vitamins. She had crucial evidence but was terrified to come forward. Her fear was palpable even through text messages. The custody hearing got postponed when Dad's ex provided provided her evidence. But the delay worked in Rachel's favor, allowing her to establish a stable routine with Emma that the judge would later consider. The system designed to protect children was being manipulated by the very person who endangered them. My credit cards maxed out from hotel stays, gas, and printing evidence nobody would look at. Meanwhile, Rachel posted Instagram stories from inside Dad's house. She'd somehow gained access, probably through Emma. Seeing her in our family space, touching our things, playing happy family with my sister, drove me to desperation. The confrontation at the grocery store was inevitable. I saw them shopping together, Emma sitting in the cart while Rachel selected organic vegetables. When Emma called Rachel new mommy, something inside me snapped. I caused a scene, grabbing the cart, demanding Rachel leave my sister alone. Security escorted me out as shoppers whispered and filmed. Emma cried for her new mommy the entire time. My college placed me on emergency suspension after Rachel sent them a compilation video of my harassment. Without access to dorms or meal plans, living in my car became my only option. My education, my future, everything was crumbling because I'd tried to save my family. From the hospital parking garage where I slept, I could watch the visitor lot. I timed Rachel's visits to Dad, noting her patterns. She came during shift changes when staff was distracted. She stayed exactly 55 minutes each time. She always parked in the same spot, always carried the same black bag. Mom's text arrived at 2 a.m. She begged me to stop torturing the family, to let Emma have stability with someone who cared. The betrayal in those words cut deeper than any of her screaming had. Mom had given up. She'd chosen the illusion of peace over protecting Emma from a predator. My investigation caused collateral damage. Melissa lost her new job when Rachel sent her employer videos of the unstable person's associate. Her pregnancy made her unemployable now. Her husband forbade further contact, prioritizing their baby over justice. Another ally lost to Rachel's calculated destruction. Dad's ex-girlfriend backed out of helping after her surviving daughter had a panic attack seeing Rachel at the store. She couldn't put her child through the trauma again. I understood but felt the walls closing in. Every person who might have helped was being systematically removed or intimidated. My college roommate asked the question that haunted my sleepless nights. What if the cops were right and Dad had wanted the substances? The doubt crept in like poison. Maybe I was the one destroying our family. Maybe Rachel was just trying to help. Maybe Dad's obsession was his own fault. At Dad's nephew's birthday party, exhaustion made me careless. I admitted to my aunt about accessing the gym files. She immediately told Rachel's lawyer, who added it to the custody case. My own family was building the case against me, providing ammunition for my exile. The evidence photos on Dad's phone revealed another devastating truth. He'd been researching DNP himself months ago. His browser history showed searches for illegal weight loss substances, extreme transformation methods, dangerous shortcuts. He might have initially asked Rachel for help. The realization that he was partially complicit made everything more complicated. Rachel's lawyer filed an emergency restraining order using my own family's testimony. The court date was moved up while I was still searching for a lawyer I couldn't afford. The legal system moved quickly when weaponized against me, but crawled when I needed justice. The truth about Rachel emerged through her treatment logs. She genuinely believed she was saving families from weak fathers. Her own dad had died obese when she was Emma's age. Her twisted logic was documented clearly. If they die transformed. If they live, they're grateful. Children deserve fit fathers. She saw herself as a savior, not a killer. I convinced Emma's sympathetic teacher to record classroom behavior. The footage captured Emma teaching other kids to put vitamins in the class goldfish water. By snack time, the fish were floating. The teacher looked horrified, but I felt only cold determination. This was the evidence I needed. Something fundamental shifted in me. The caring sibling who'd never use Emma disappeared, replaced by someone willing to exploit a 5-year-old for evidence. I hated what I was becoming, but Rachel had left me no choice. Fighting a monster required becoming one. The teacher's recording showed more than just the fish incident. During an approved visit, Rachel had taught Emma to crush vitamins in drinks at her new aftercare. Emma proudly demonstrated on juice boxes, explaining how she was helping make everyone healthy like Daddy. The other children watched with interest. The restraining order hearing arrived like a final blow. I watched Rachel cry genuine tears about trying to help a family in crisis. Her grief seemed real as she described watching Dad's transformation spiral out of control. The judge nodded sympathetically, buying every word of her performance. The judge granted the restraining order. I was banned from Emma, Mom, and anywhere Rachel might be. The gavel's bang effectively exiled me from my own family. I sat in my car outside the courthouse, watching Rachel hug my crying mother, watching Emma cling to her new guardian. Everything now depended on Dad waking up to testify, but doctors warned his brain damage might mean he'd never fully recover. The machines keeping him alive beeped steadily, marking time we didn't have. Each day unconscious was another day Rachel solidified her hold on Emma. The teacher called Mom about Emma poisoning classmates' milk with chalk. Mom finally started recognizing the pattern, but remained paralyzed by fear of losing the custody battle. She saw the danger now, but felt powerless to stop it. Her realization came too late. Hospital colleagues chose sides as the story spread. One ICU nurse risked her job to update me on Dad's condition. Others reported my lurking to security. The parking garage security began regular rounds, forcing me to move my car constantly. Even finding a place to sleep became a battle. My lawyer explained the teacher's recording was obtained through third-party manipulation, making it inadmissible in criminal court. The very evidence that showed Rachel's grooming couldn't be used to stop her. Legal technicalities protected the predator while binding the protector. Dad's boss owed him from covering embezzlement years ago. He agreed to hire a private investigator, but only for 48 hours. After that, he made clear he never knew us. Even debts had limits when reputation was at stake, but 48 hours was better than nothing. The PI found 2 other cases in nearby towns. Families who wouldn't talk, bound by NDAs meetings with Rachel's lawyer after settlements. The pattern was larger than I'd imagined, but silence had been purchased, making the truth legally unreachable. Finally reaching one widow, she revealed her husband knew the drops were dangerous but couldn't stop. Addiction to transformation was too strong. The widow's hands trembled as she showed me her husband's journal. The pages detailed his obsession with becoming thin, how Rachel had convinced him that dying transformed was better than living fat. The final entry made my blood run cold. He'd written that at least Lily would remember him as trying. The widow explained her husband had willingly risked everything for his transformation. Dad's phone, finally unlocked by the PI, revealed devastating texts. He'd begged Rachel for stronger doses after hitting a plateau. She'd warned him about Emma finding them, but he'd insisted he could handle it. The messages showed Dad chose to risk Emma's involvement rather than stop his transformation. He was partially responsible for his own poisoning. I sat in my car processing this new reality. Dad had knowingly endangered Emma for his obsession, but Rachel had exploited that weakness. The decision to expose both Dad's complicity and Rachel's manipulation meant destroying our family's remaining reputation, but stopping her mattered more than protecting our image. Rachel's license renewal application provided the breakthrough. The PI discovered she'd never finished her nutrition certification and had claimed degrees she didn't have. The state board would be very interested in someone practicing without proper credentials. I compiled everything into an anonymous complaint, presenting myself as just a concerned citizen who'd noticed discrepancies. The state board opened an investigation immediately. Rachel received notice to stop practicing pending review. Her lawyer called me despite the restraining order, suggesting we could work something out. The desperation in his voice told me we'd finally found leverage. Both sides prepared for the custody modification hearing. Mom initially supported Rachel, still believing she'd been helping. My aunt remained neutral, wanting what was best for Emma. Uncle David supported Rachel, fearing association with scandal. I watched the live stream from my car outside, security regularly patrolling the parking lot to ensure I stayed away. During the hearing, I noticed Rachel's hands trembling, the same tremors Dad had developed. She was microdosing DNP, testing everything on herself first. The realization that she genuinely believed in her methods, enough to risk her own health, added complexity to her twisted logic. The way Rachel tested those drops on herself before giving them to others makes me wonder if she really thought she was helping people, or if she knew deep down how dangerous they were. The state board investigator testified via video link about Rachel's false credentials. He detailed her pattern of targeting families through children, presenting evidence from multiple cases. His professional assessment carried weight the family testimony hadn't. Then Mom suddenly stood up. She'd found more bottles hidden in Emma's toy box that morning. Her voice broke as she admitted she'd been too scared to look before, not wanting to believe her baby was involved. The judge ordered an immediate recess. The judge mandated psychological evaluations for all parties. Emma would stay with my aunt pending results. Dad's doctor testified via video that the DNP in Dad's system matched exactly what was in Emma's bottle. Same batch number on chemical analysis. The scientific evidence was irrefutable. Rachel's breakdown during her evaluation revealed everything. As a child, her obese father had begged her for her ADHD medication to lose weight. She'd given it to him, and he'd died of a heart attack. She'd been trying to save him over and over through other fathers. Her pathology ran deeper than simple malice. She genuinely couldn't separate helping from harming. The prosecutor offered me the chance to submit a written victim impact statement for Rachel's sentencing on practicing without a license and child endangerment. I spent hours crafting it, asking for mandatory psychiatric treatment and a ban from working with families. No jail time. Thinking of Emma visiting someone in prison made me sick. Rachel was sick, not evil. Emergency custody returned to Mom with me as supervisor. CPS would monitor for 1 year. The compromise wasn't perfect, but it kept Emma safe while maintaining family bonds. Mom and I began the slow process of rebuilding trust. Dad's recovery group split over the revelations. Some still defended Rachel, unable to accept their transformations had been poisoned from the start. Others faced the reality that their weight loss came from illegal substances administered by their children. The gym community would never fully recover. I started rebuilding my life while attending court-ordered therapy. Some days I could look at Emma without seeing Rachel's influence. Trust would take a lifetime to rebuild, but we were trying. The therapist helped me process the guilt of using Emma for evidence, the anger at Dad's complicity, the grief for the family we'd lost. The final protection order ensured Rachel could never contact Emma again, but Emma still asked when the vitamin lady was coming back. Her therapy focused on helping her understand she'd been manipulated, not helpful. The deprogramming would take years. 6 months later, Dad woke from his coma. Permanent kidney damage meant dialysis 3 times a week, but he was alive. His first coherent words were asking for Emma. When she ran to him, I held my breath, but she just hugged him and cried. No mention of vitamins or getting skinny. Emma's therapy was helping her understand the difference between helping and hurting. She'd stopped teaching other kids about vitamins, stopped poking her belly, stopped asking about Rachel. Small victories that meant everything. Mom and I attended family counseling together. We were learning to communicate without screaming, to trust without suspicion, to protect Emma without suffocating her. The therapist reminded us healing wasn't linear. We'd have setbacks. Rachel served her sentence under house arrest with intensive psychiatric treatment. Part of me hoped she'd find peace, finally stop trying to save her dead father through other people's families. But mostly, I just wanted her to stay away from children forever. I returned to college part-time while working at the campus health center. My job involved educating students about predatory wellness coaches and dangerous weight loss methods. Every presentation felt like penance for not protecting Dad sooner. The hardest part was learning to trust Emma's innocent hugs again. Rachel had weaponized a child's love, turned affection into poison. But Emma was just a little girl who loved her daddy. She deserved to give hugs without suspicion. Dad's recovery was slow but steady. He'd gained weight back to a healthy level, attended therapy for his eating disorder, and worked on rebuilding his relationship with Emma. He never spoke about the months of transformation, but sometimes I caught him staring at old photos with tears in his eyes. Our family would never be the same. The scars ran too deep, trust had been shattered too completely. But we were learning to build something new from the wreckage. Not the family we'd been, but maybe something stronger. Emma drew new pictures now. Our family together. No mentions of muscles or being skinny. Just stick figures holding hands. I kept every single one. Proof that healing was possible even after the deepest betrayals. The cycle of body trauma would stop with our generation. We'd be vigilant enough to prevent it, educated enough to recognize the signs, strong enough to protect the vulnerable. Emma would grow up knowing that love meant safety, not manipulation. Some nights I still dreamed about those months of investigation. Woke up ready to check Rachel's Instagram or drive past the gym, but then I'd hear Emma laughing in the next room, see Dad's medications lined up on the counter, feel Mom's hand on my shoulder. We'd survived, damaged but not destroyed. That had to be enough. All right, that was a ride. Thanks for tagging along while I tried to make sense of it all. Who knows what's next, but for now, I'm out.